gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake Reminder and Force Brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force Brake activates to rest your eyes. I care you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another round of AMX. As always, if it's not become your routine at this point to tune in 4 days a week for AMX, don't know who you are, I don't know what you're doing. Tune into AMX 4 nights a week. It's the same time now, so you don't have an excuse. It's always here. And of course, as always, mixing things up, it's Brad. And with me is Marco. Marco, how are you doing this morning for you?
Yes, sir. 1:30 in the morning, and I have to say it's been a fantastic day of racing. We started with the Monaco Grand Prix, then we went to the Indy 500. Charlotte 600 has been postponed, so what better thing to do than join us for some, hopefully, NASCAR racing tonight with the Nextgen cars at Phoenix, and of course the trucks at Charlotte later on tonight. So a perfect replacement for the action in the Coke 600.
Yeah, I was a little heartbroken. I know I've got several friends that were very heartbroken that the Coke 600 got rained out. But, hey, we're going to bring it to you here at AMX as best we can. It's the 2022 Next Gen class cars here on iRacing, here at the wonderfully shaped Phoenix Raceway. They call it an oval, but it's a bit of a potato, sitting in Avondale, Phoenix, Arizona. Absolutely beautiful thing. Gorgeous weather here in iRacing. Of course, iRacing doesn't have weather implemented yet, and iRacing, if you're watching, move that along, please. Looking at the schedule here, this is, of course, day 29 of our 45-day extravaganza here at iRacing, and this is the NASCAR exclusive. I was told that Sundays are going to be all NASCAR exclusive from now on. We're going to bring it on, of course, just 2 days coming today, 30, and then it's down on the back end, and we're counting down to the end of season 2. You're wondering who's made how much money here? Kyle Gaspar, $1,221 US. He's earning an average of $31 a race. But the big name, Gael Valero, not far behind him there, just over 1,000 with a 73% win rate. 16 races of 22 attended, won. Another big name to look at down there in P7, Quentin Gunez with a 60% win rate. Very, very impressive drivers and wins all the way through. Of course, after 90 races, payout will be at the end of the season. And you might be wondering, how do you earn points? How do you earn money? Well, here it is. So entry fee $5 for this race. 1 point is $1 US. No payout less than $50 awarded. And if you're first place, you're already halfway to that payout point. 25 points awarded for P1. P2 is 20 points, and we just kind of continue it down for a total of $161 US being given out every night in iRacing run, or when AMX runs here in iRacing. Who's doing the best here in the Beta Season 2 standings here? Kyle Valero currently in this class, $276 won. Gaston Kulhavi, $199. Kyle Gaspar, $170. Diego Villarreal, $167. So all drivers that you see on your screen except for 2 are currently at payout tiers. And that is a lot of money to be paid out at the end of the season. I'm just saying, I want to cut of the pie. Can I get a cut of their pie? Because that's a lot of pie. I like pie. Looking at the track we're at, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Don't think we're at Charlotte. We're at Phoenix. Anyways, we're at Phoenix. So it is a weird little 1 mile oval circuit that NASCAR has ran since about 1988. Very, very weird little setup that runs through. But it's a fun little track. It's unique. There's a different thing that runs through. And it's just a challenge to learn because of the shape of it. It's not a traditional oval, not a tri-oval like Charlotte that we'll be running later. It's a bit lopsided. It's a potato. But it's a lot of fun to run through. And it's one of those tracks that if you really learn it, if you really get good at it, it's really rewarding to put a fast lap down on. And what car are we running on? This is a 2022 Nextgen car. It is the classic NASCAR car, and it is what's bringing all of the excitement this year in real life, here in iRacing. It's what all the Coke guys are running, what the fabulous Fabio Zamperlini has slapped a Monster Energy #1 livery on, and this is absolutely crazy. It went from the 5-lug traditional standard to a single locking lug, composite bodies, higher ride height, independent rear suspension, and probably most controversially for me personally is a sequential gearbox. But it's a lot of fun to run. It's a great car to sling around in iRacing. It's a great car to sling around if you get real creative and you want to put it on a road course. You can do that. But Marco, tell me, NASCAR, you're a big NASCAR fan from what I remember and understand. Next gen car, Phoenix, should be a good race for us tonight.
Exactly, I like the mix of eras we are bringing on the racetrack tonight because, of course, as you were saying, the modern day NASCAR Cup cars racing on the original layout, or at least the earlier layout we have on a racing of Phoenix International Raceway, as it was called back then. This is the one before the renovation works that took place in the early part of the 2010s that made the track what it is today. And as you can tell, of course, by the vast amount of grass being displayed all around the racetrack and the distinct lack of the more pronounced banking we have today. I love the fact that both Phoenix and of course Charlotte later today have one thing in common, is that they ran into difficulties with the construction of the track because of the terrain was a bit rocky in the area. Now Phoenix had to create the dogleg, of course, which is this unique bit of track you were talking about earlier. For Charlotte, the problem was in the infield, where they were creating the infield road course, and that's why the infield road course of Charlotte is quite undulated compared to the ones we have normally, for example at Daytona or other places. So of course in 37, of course it is also a great warm-up for me, because tonight in like, I don't know, 20 hours time, the Italian NASCAR Championship on iRacing, of course, will have its penultimate round of the season in Martinsville, so that's going to be good, and we will know the final four of the Championship 4 at Texas in a couple of weeks time. So I love NASCAR. You know, next to me there is a diecast of Kurt Busch winning the Daytona 500 a few years ago, the raced version with all the confetti and the scrapes and the damage and the pieces of grass everywhere. So yeah, I am quite a big fan, you can say, and can't wait for this race here at Phoenix.
You root for the better of the two Busch brothers, in my opinion, so I respect you for that. As we see here, 3 drivers in the server so far: Jackson Resende, fabulous Fabio Zamperlini, and Diego Villarreal. You can see there on the left-hand side their iRatings, and as you can tell, oval isn't exactly, you know, maybe their favorite thing, which is not a bad thing. It's nice to kind of challenge yourself into different segments of iRacing. It's a lot of fun, especially if you haven't tried Dirt Rally. Dirt Rally doesn't get a lot of love in iRacing. I would recommend go give it a try. Jackson Resende giving the wall a try there as we go through, but holding on to it, hitting in, fresh tires, a little bit of gas. He's going to go right back out, put another lap in. 28.5-second lap so far is what we're seeing, with Fabio Zamperlini just a bit behind. And talking about old layout, new cars, I prefer the old layout of Phoenix to the new layout. I do not like having all of that grass paved out. Controversial opinion.
No, absolutely not controversial. I'm a big fan of the old layout. I think, as a big fan, of course, of IndyCar, before becoming a fan of NASCAR and, kart back in the day, because I'm a bit on the older side, I always tell to people that get, new fans and explaining what the changes make to the racetrack, I always tell them they NASCArified this racetrack, if that makes sense. So surely, as you were saying, the difference is the pavement. Now you can cut there under the dogleg, which you can't do here. I mean, you can try. There is a curve welcoming you where the drivers go nowadays. So if you hit it at the right angle, you are going to be launched in the air. So I advise our drivers not to try that at all. As Zamperlini gets into the provisional pole with a 28.455, so it's a Brazilian 1-2, and Diego Villarreal, as per usual, is relaxing in the pit lane.
It's kind of what we expect of Diego at this point. It's not a bad thing. It's worked for him. Worked for him several times, actually, so kind of respect it. The consistency is what I really enjoy with it, is just every time we run a race here in AMX and Diego Villarreal is in the lobby, I just automatically know, I'm like, all right, that's fine. Diego's going to take a break. So he takes about 10 minutes, and did we ever find out what he does? Does he go stretch? Does he do, like, jumping jacks? Is he doing, like, deep breathing techniques? Is he, like, shotgunning a monster? What does Diego Villarreal do during the qualifying session?
I have to make a confession to you that usually when I race official iRacing races, especially when I do like the IMSA series, the Le Mans series, I never qualify, and as we see Fabio Zamperini very, very focused at the wheel right now. But I'm Italian, so of course in the qualifying session I go and in the kitchen and make a coffee to prepare for the races, so that was almost expected of me.
Yeah, in official sessions, I don't qualify either. I'll admit it. I will openly admit that I don't qualify in official sessions. I was taught not to. From a young iRating, I was taught not to qualify and to just start from the back, avoid turn 1, lap 1, and then keep going. But when you're in a session like this, and you got, Fabio Zamperlini down there who we see in the corner, I love the addition of the zoom cams where we can see the drivers. You can see Fabio, absolutely muscling that car through the corner. And it shows, drivers putting some work in.
It's not as easy as it looks, when you get yourself started with and Jackson Hasenji losing the car, coming out of 4, and you can see the new damage model in all of its glory here in iRacing. I have always this conversation with people that want to maybe join the Italian NASCAR Championship and sit, talk to me, because I'm, the commentator been for many years, and they ask me if I can introduce them to the world of NASCAR. I say often very slow, but at least I have, years and years of experience racing from the heydays of NASCAR Racing 4. And I always tell them, they always ask me, but do I need the brake, or is it flat out all the way? I will say, no, you better use that brake, and these cars will teach you, and oval racing in general will really teach you, I think, how to really be gentle on the throttle and on the brakes for a long distance, because, of course, oval races are normally very, very long. And it's incredible how shocked people are about hearing this, but also I think how useful it is, because it really translates very well even in road racing. You really learn how to be gentle with the tires. For the people that are watching us that don't know, there is no electronic help for these drivers. Not even the pit limiter. They don't even have a speed indicator in their cars. So everything is done by using your feet as gently as possible whilst going as fast as possible.
Yeah, the best you get for a pit limiter in the NASCAR car is you get a little LED indicator. And as someone who runs a lot of late models, basically all you want is the LED indicator to be on. It doesn't change colors. It's not anything fancy. It's on or off. If it's on, you're at the speed you should be at for pit lane. Or you're at the RPM to, in theory, be at the speed you want to be at. If it's off, then you're either over or under, and it's up to you to figure out which way based on what gear you're in, how fast you're going. So these cars teach you a lot of things.
They do, and the new late model, man. Now that we look, it's a fantastic new car from iRacing. The car's late model, absolutely beautiful new piece of content from iRacing.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, when they pushed update 2, I believe it was, they accidentally released the car and they didn't mean to. And so many people liked it that iRacing left it alone and said, you know what, we're going to leave this how this is. And it's just, it's its official thing now, which shows with iRacing. Ooh, Fabio Zamperlini spinning around. A little bit of a tank slapper there, but still rolling. Thankfully, it's qualifying, and there's 60 seconds left to go. Now, what was I saying before he spun?
Talking about the late model,
Oh, yeah. Showing how iRacing listens to their community and does really well with that because they released the... how do you describe it? The better version? And then they just left it alone for a while because so many people liked it. And they're like, you know, we didn't mean to do this, but we're going to leave it be.
Jackson Hesenji goes through the start-finish line, kissing the wall as well, but he was not on a good lap, and this will be, I think, the end of our qualifying session, and this means that we are ready to switch through the to the proper race, which will start in just a couple of minutes. The moment the drivers are all on the grid, the pace car will start rolling. Now in iRacing we have 2 pace laps for racetracks under 1 mile, but this track is exactly 1 mile, therefore only 1 pace lap for these drivers before we go racing.
Yep, and if you're wondering about what your grid order is going to be, it is going to be Fabio Zamperlini, Jackson Resende, and Diego Villarreal. It's like we're in the Piston Cup, but we're in the AMX tier. Tier 5. AMX 5 is this tier. Yeah, but it's like we're in the Piston Cup. We got 3 drivers, 3 NASCAR, 3 stock cars, getting ready to run laps around an oval track. I'm just saying, Disney wrote it. We're just improving it. We're making it better. Because there's money at the end of this. Fabio Zamperlini in the number 1 goes 1. Jackson Resende in the number 3 is number 2. Diego Villarreal in the 22, not setting a time as we always expect. Diego Villarreal will start 3rd place in the 2nd row solo here in Tier 1 Race 9. Marco, what's your predictions for the race? That's always fun to do. What are your predictions for how this race is going to go?
It looks incredibly tight at the front. The 2 Brazilians are incredibly close to each other. It's interesting because one of them doesn't have the A license that is needed to race this car normally in the official A-Class series. You can race it alongside the real NASCAR calendar during the year on certain time slots in the NASCAR iRacing series, which I strongly suggest you guys do, because it's like limited time slots and half or sometimes full distance following the real life schedule. Of course, this week it was one of the full distances, of course, Coke 600. So it's interesting because the lap times were incredibly close between the 2 Brazilians, and as the pace car is rolling, we always have this, this question mark about Diego Villarreal.
Like I said, it's worked for him before. The not qualifying has definitely worked for him before. He's a little slow off of the grid there to get rolling behind the pace car. So it's one of those, can he take advantage of any opportunities that comes up? Can he just be consistent and kind of stick in the draft and stick behind? And hey, we saw Resende, spin out a few times through qualifying. If Jackson Resende or Fabio Zamperlini, have a bit of a moment through the turn. Diego Villarreal just sneaks his way around the inside, goes through, and here we go. Diego Villarreal has a position, and we just got to see it going. Coming around here, and as we watch the 1, the 3, and the 22 for the shootout for, I'm calling it the Honorary Piston Cup, Disney come at me, and it's green, green, green here at Phoenix Raceway. And as we go through, I won't say boogity, 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 but I just did. And now we're through turn 1, turn 2 here, and you can see Fabio Zamperlini gets away fairly well here with a bit of a run. And it's just how our grid started. Zamperlini, Jackson Resende, and Diego Villarreal. And as they come around here, turn 3, these laps are going to tick down real quick. So kind of just buckle your seatbelts, hold on for a bit. Give me about 10 to 15 minutes of your time to watch these cars go around the track. As we see Fabio Zamperlini already wanting to do a bit of a slap of the wall out of 4. Come around, 1 lap's down, Marco, and we got 29 more to go.
Exactly, and we are racing, of course, AMX style, therefore there will be no cautions. This means, of course, that these drivers, going back to what we were saying earlier in the opening of the show, they really need to manage those tires because they really want to arrive at the end. As you can see, Resenji pushing on to the inside of his fellow countryman Zamperlini deep into turn 1, and we have our first lead change of the evening. So Resenji from Zamperlini, they switch positions around, and now we'll see if Zamperlini, the number 1 Monster Energy car, has something in his pocket to answer back to the number 3 of Resenji in front of him.
Fabio Zamperlini running through and giving up the place early, playing it smart. I think he knows it's a long game here. We're starting lap 4 of 30 here, and the key is if you're back in the back of the draft, you get a little bit of extra speed going through. You can kind of just hang out and then go through, and he'll sneak his way back around as long as he just keeps close enough to Jackson Resende here and sticks around. And you can see already just how the difference in cornering makes up for that as he comes back on the throttle out of 4. And just tune your ears in behind the sound of my voice, the sound of Marco's voice, to that engine, and you can hear the lift, you can hear a little bit of brake application, you can hear how they feather back into the throttle on corner exit to try to maximize the grip, maximize everything as best they can in order to optimize their laps through. And now you can see Fabio Zamperlini starting to close that gap a little bit again on Jackson Resende, as Resende is trying to just kind of cruise, maintain. He's going to be looking in his mirrors as much as he's looking ahead and trying to just hold on through, just to keep going, keep that lead, and hopefully come home in first place.
Well, another thing that's really important to note is the track temperature. We saw it in the opening, incredibly high. It's pushing in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken, Celsius, of course. Basically, one of the highest that it can get here on iRacing, and so this will as well really put these drivers under pressure to maintain their tires in good condition until the end of the race. Of course, iRacing tire model is infamous for being very sensitive to temperature variations, and once you get like a slide or a lockup, it's almost impossible to get those tires back into proper working conditions. So these drivers, of course, the more they go into the stint, the more we will see them start to slip and slide all over the place. It will be crucial to maintain those tires in good condition, otherwise they will be close friends with the wall very soon.
See, that's the thing with NASCAR though, is you really have to maximize how close do you get to the wall, how tight do you get against that yellow line on the bottom, and how can you basically loop this oval in the best way possible. Road racers do the same thing a little bit differently when they look, entrance, apex, exit, and essentially you're doing that in this oval car. Just a little bit different. Brush to the wall as close as you can. And, like if you were in an F1 car at Monaco, it's the wall as close as you can. So a lot of similarities carry over between the road racing we usually see these guys do and this oval racing. Fabio Zamperlini down there in the bottom right, sporting his jersey, absolutely driving. Look at how he is leaning in. You can see he's almost like trying to will the car inside. See the little wobble, he catches it on the steering wheel, and look at him leaning in there, really feeling it in. He's trying his best to catch up and pass Jackson or Sunday there. A little bit more wobble on the corner exit of just fighting the grip of the car and really trying to just maximize everything. And as we go through, Marco, I know you've mentioned this about tire wear, tire deg. We'll start to see these lap times slowly back away as we continue.
Yes, the more they will go lap after lap, the slower they become and the more difficult the race will become for them, because this means they're really fighting hard against the track, against the tires, and against the car. Really, these cars, especially even these newer ones, which of course they've made, as you were saying in the opening earlier, considerable strides towards becoming more like technologically current race cars. They are still, I think, the beauty about NASCAR race cars is that they really don't want to make you comfortable, and so of course it's even amplified to the maximum the amount of repercussion that the tire wear has on you the more you go along with the race. By the way, we are basically pushing towards the halfway mark of our 30 lapper here at Phoenix International Raceway, as it was known back then when this version of the track was around. Just Phoenix Raceway, sadly. They dropped the International somewhere during the renovations, and still it's the two Brazilians neck and neck with each other. I think Zamperlini is keeping his distance from Kasenji. I think he has something up his sleeve, but he maybe doesn't want or doesn't have the just the extra bit of speed necessary to complete the pass. Maybe we'll go for it later. Maybe instead Kasenji is under control. The Tony Kanani sports driver, and is looking in control, and maybe he will try to do this until the end of the race. But of course, never easy to drive, walking a tightrope basically with your opponent for first place being so close to you lap after lap.
At this point, it is truly about who's more consistent and who's consistently better. And at this point, Resende and Zamperlini are very neck and neck in that regard. So they're really just relaxed. And I think putting myself in the mindset of Zamperlini, I'll give a little story about my first and only iRacing win. I was running late models at USA International, or open wheel modifieds at USA International, and was just running, and I sat for 15 laps of a 60-lap race behind this one guy for 15 of 60 laps, and just hung out behind him, followed it through, and with 2 laps to go, I got an opening and took it. He got a little loose because I was just consistently 1/10, 2/10 behind him, and he was trying to push. He got a little loose. I snuck it up the inside, took the win with 2 laps to go. If you're Fabio Zamperlini, you're a good driver. You know there's no need to push too hard too soon, and you know that 15 laps is a lot of time. So at this point, you can see he's kind of just hanging out. He's sneaking his nose around, looking for a move, and if Resende has a little bit of an air, Zamperlini could get in there big time. And at that point, I thought Zamperlini had something right then as they came out of 4. He's backed up a little bit now. You can see he's giving Resende a little bit more space. He's kind of settling back out. He's going to reset and start pushing again. And, all it's going to take is just one little opportunity that Zamperlini can capitalize on, Marco, and that will be the difference between P2 and P1.
I think coming out of the final corner, just a little bit of a wiggle, the smallest of wiggles from the number 1 car there. That's, of course not ideal, but we can see that already Zamperlini is set to close the gap as quickly as possible. I was talking about earlier, this is the thing that the racing tire model really doesn't like, so hopefully for Zamperlini this is not a big deal. I don't think it was one of those huge wiggles that really kill your tires. Seems like he's keeping his distance once again. Maybe going back to what you were saying, this will just as I say that, I said maybe he will be a little bit more patient now, and he comes out of the final corner almost sideways. So maybe he has other plans from what I was saying, and he's looking for, you see, alternative lines. You can really go around the outside here if you have a good run, so it's not impossible, even though there is less banking than what we have now in real life around Phoenix, but it's still possible to pass there, if you need to do it and if you have a good run. But a couple of warning signs from Zamperlini coming out of 4.
Yeah, a bit of patience is needed in the long term as well. when you look at these cars. We're 20 laps of 30 through, and the tires are going to be feeling it at this point, and the drivers are going to be feeling it at this point. Every time we cut on that Zamperlini cam, I always see just he's leaning really into these turns, much like you would do in real life. Of course, best lap 28.831. There we go. I love the production team. As soon as I say something, they go, "Oh, you mean this thing?" So Fabio Zamperlini, look at him as we go down the main straight. And now watch as we hit the turn, and it could just be the angle of his camera here. But look at him. He's, I mean, physically leaning into this, trying to fight this car through, trying to go around and get the most out of these laps as he can. I absolutely love it. Now 9 laps to go here, and at this point, he's going to have to find that move sooner rather than later to get around Resende, and he's really going to have to set something up. For Jackson Resende, it's consistency and keep those tires together and don't have a wobble out of 4 like that.
Now it's Hasenji's time to have trouble coming out of 4, and so this will provide certainly an opening for Zamperlini, maybe a warning sign for Hasenji as well. These tires are also about to wave the metaphorical white flag, as Villarreal is chilling there in the background, 5 seconds and a half back, but this fight for the lead is going to go down to the wire, and both of these drivers are starting to show signs of pushing their cars and their tires to the limit in this lap. Despite the mistake there, coming out of 4 slightly faster for Hasenji, but you can hear for a second these tires squealing for mercy coming out of NASCAR 1 and 2. NASCAR 1 and 2. I'm weird at the Daytona, sorry, 1 and 2. NASCAR 1 and 2.
This track is a lot of fun. Daytona is a lot of fun. Anything NASCAR related, you have to like. That's one of those weird things about NASCAR is it's a very American thing, but it's universally just liked, even if it's not understood or it's hated because it's left turns only. Jackson Resende getting very loose though out of 1 and 2 as they go through here, heading towards 3 now. Jackson Resende got a little bit wobbly there. Now with 6 laps to go, are his tires feeling the heat? And are we getting to a point where Resende's going to have to back down a little bit and start playing defense with his car? Is Zamperlini going to finally be able to make something happen? Look at this, gap 2/10, and it's coming down a little bit as we head into 1 here.
Seems to me like coming out of 1 and 2, Zamperlini is not being able to keep his car as planted to the ground as Hasenji is doing. So despite that moment earlier, the leader looks like he's in a little bit of a better shape overall around the track. He's still absolutely neck and neck, but the leader, Hasenji, is looking like he's a little bit more under control. As I say that, look at that, sideways, coming to the curve, strikes again. Zamperlini closes the gap down to 0.2 of a second. This race is certainly on.
4 laps to go, and I cannot tell you who's going to cross the line first, which is what makes this exciting. Look at this, Zamperlini absolutely wheeling it through. We keep showing him, and I mean, he's pushing hard, he's pushing real hard as we go through. Resende a little bit loose again coming out of 4, so I think Resende is just giving it his all at this point. It's either he's going to cross the line or he's going to hit the barrier, and he's going to pick one and stick with it. And here we go, Zamperlini getting a little close, trying to get a little wobbly there from Resende. Zamperlini a little bit wobbly as well as they hit the is it a tri-oval? What do you call that, Marco, at the top? We're 28 laps in. I should have known this before lap 1.
I just call it the dog leg. The track is like, it's an oval with a dog leg. I'm not very creative.
Hey, it works. Dog leg, dog leg. Here we go. Now, 2 laps to go as we hit through. Resende leading Zamperlini as he has since lap 4, and now as we come around and we come through, we hit the dog leg again. You can see Resende just struggling. We haven't mentioned Diego Villarreal, and he's 5.5 seconds back just hanging out. This battle right here, though, is far from done. And if Villarreal gets lucky and something happens with these two, it could be that Villarreal finishes the P1 as we hit the exit of 4 here and go through. Zamperlini is so close to Resende as we hit 2 laps to go this time by. And now, inside here through 1, is he going to try the bump and run? Classic NASCAR move here. Nope, it looks like he's going to try to run a little bit wider, carry a little bit more speed. There's a bit of a snap there, and that for Zamperlini might spell disaster for his run. for the win here at Phoenix in these Next-Gen Cup cars. As we hit turn 4 here, we're going to be coming around. Leader will be taking the white flag this time by. And there it is. Resende a little bit loose, though, out. You see a bit of tire smoke there. Zamperlini is back in it as we go around. We're going to hit 1 and 2 one final time here under green flag racing. And as we go around, you can see Zamperlini offsetting his car just a little bit, trying to get past Resende. Resende's going to slide up, hold on in there through the dogleg. Now we go around, and he's going to be right there. Resende to Zamperlini, got just a 1/10 of a second. This is where something has to give for one of them. Zamperlini taking an alternate line now. And I think at this point, it might be the Brazilians stick 1 and 2 how they are as they come out to start finish. Resende actually spins into the wall. He crosses the line first anyway. Zamperlini comes in P2, hits it. You can see Zamperlini laughing with enjoyment from that as Jackson Resende takes the win there, spinning out of turn 4. Lucky for him to start finish straight far enough back. He didn't lose it there at the final moment. Diego Villarreal comes around, hangs out. We get some NASCAR donuts. We get some burning of rubber. And that's one of our 2 AMX races down for this weekend.
And what a fantastic race, because both drivers were absolutely on the limit in the final few laps. They both made mistakes, even in the very final lap. And Jackson Cassanti, as you can see, brings home the W in front of the compatriot Fabio Zamperlini. 0.2 of a second. Diego Villarreal minded his own business, enjoyed the race, I think, from his privileged perspective, and 3rd place for him. And this is all she wrote from Phoenix International Raceway. A great way to start the evening, and of course, now we need to pack our bags, Brad, and go east to Charlotte.
Yep. Jump all the way across the country from the West Coast to the East Coast. Let's hit Charlotte Raceway, which, of course, should have had today with the Coke 600. Got rained out, but hey, that's what AMX is for. We're going to bring you the good racing. So thank you to our partners, Automatics and BenQ. Of course, we are powered by Upfit. Check out the socials between the races and stick around with us for about 30 minutes, and we'll be back for some truck racing.
with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes.
Man, I love that new trailer. The new trailer is so nice. Welcome back, everyone, to the second round of AMX here in day, what did I say it was, 29 earlier? Or what are we at? There's a good question, Marco. What day are we at here with AMX?
I think 29, but I might be mistaken. I know that here in Italy, of course, it's already May 29th, so maybe that gets me confused, but we are in Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we were saying in the opening earlier, rained out the classic Coke 600 tonight in real life, but we have some alternative coverage of the tracks, the old school iRacing tracks from way back when, the late noughties, of course, here around this beautiful rescan of the racetrack we've got just a few years back. So it's going to be fun. I love these tracks from when I first got into the service, of course. Very raw machines compared even to the NASCAR Nextgen cars we saw earlier. So I think we are in for a good one.
Yeah, I talk a lot whenever we're doing road races at like Donington Park, other classic tracks, that this is a track that you need to have under your belt. If you run ovals in any context, Charlotte Motor Speedway is one that you need to be able to put time down on. Also, there's our answer. We are at day 29 here on May 28th. Here, if you're wondering when we're at, it is, of course, day 29. We've got 15 more days of AMX excitement to go after this, 30 more races coming after this. And of course, with this being AMX 0, we're doubling up the promotions up through the next race. So $30 old school prize pool. We're now up to the new $60 prize pool. First place gets a cool $14 US. Second place gets $10 US, and it trickles down from there, doubled up from what it used to be, awarding all the way through 10th place now instead of 8th place. Looking at how those points award out, again, doubled up, no entry fee, 60 points possible. 1 point is $1 US, and winnings paid out in $50 increments, and new, this carries up between seasons. So if you don't make the $50, you don't lose it. Just come join us in the next season. We'll keep tacking on those totals. You hit $50, just send a request in, and we'll pay it back out to you. And if you're wondering who is doing the best so far in the free tier AMX 0 standings, Kyle Gaspar has won a whopping $102 US, Cortin Guinez $98 US, Gael Valero $84, and you see the numbers as they trickle on down. So far, Jackson Resende $37, Fabio Zamperlini $39, Octavio Rondoletto very, very close to that $50 US. Payout at the end of the season, or you can request it anytime after $50. And of course, 90 races total in the season, 45 of them being in this free tier. Let's take a look at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is our home, of course. Usually it's home for the Coke 600. There's the Roval, which is a road oval because it's a fun infield portion of the outfield. We're running on the just standard 2018 oval configuration, 4 turns plus the tri-oval through. Of course, it was designed specifically for NASCAR competition and was made with NASCAR in mind. It is an extremely fun track. And if you've never ran 600 miles around Charlotte Motor Speedway, you really should try it. It's so much fun. It is several hours of running, but it's very rewarding to go all the way through. And if you're wondering what car, well, it's not a car, it's a truck. And speaking of trucks, 625 horsepower, 1,500 kilograms. This is the 2013 Chevy Silverados. This is the old school trucks that existed, and these are the trucks that everyone knows, everyone loves, and the trucks that are packaged specifically for racing, built specifically for action. And I've been told directly from a racer that I know that's in this race tonight, these are a handful at times. And Marco, you and me have both ran these trucks. I know everyone has ran these trucks at least once. It's running right now. These trucks are a lot of fun, but they're a lot of muscle to handle.
Yes, of course. Now these tracks are free for everybody. You are they come packaged together with your racing subscription, and you can race them in the free tier pickup cup. Way back when, this was my first ever purchase on iRacing, this track here. So a special place in my heart. It was always fun to alternate every hour the C fixed tracks with the Indy fixed. 1 hour after the other. And I have to say always, the modern tracks, which of course are raced still on the C-Fixed iRacing series, probably the best, most fun oval series in the whole service. If you want to have like races, don't want to be constrained by times, races every hour on the 15th of the 15 minutes of the hour, all day long, and it follows the real track calendar as well during the season. So so many sign-ups, so you will always find people of your level. We have a lot of sign-ups today, tonight, this morning, wherever you're in the world as well. You can see that it's Gaston Coulavi leading the way, and we've got Resengi and Zamperlini, Villarreal, of course, back from the previous race, and some new faces. Scully, Ash, the newcomer, of course, from the United States of America, and Park sitting down in the pits as of this moment. So a big field for what is going to be a very fun race.
I'm going to go ahead and admit my bias here. Bradley Ash, is a very, very good friend of mine. I've ran endurance races with him. I've ran iRacing with him. He was a big influence in getting me into iRacing. A very, very good personal friend of mine. The only American in the lobby, in the server. But I'm going to be a little bit biased, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up front. Commentators shouldn't be biased, but I might get a little excited if he's in the lead. I don't know who that was that just spun through the pit lane, but I'm very excited if that is how we're ending practice.
I've been trying to get my fellow countrymen into this league, but not all of them are as crazy as me, staying up this late in the morning. So I'll try, one day maybe we'll have some Italian representation. Of course, we have so many people of Italian origin in South America, especially in Argentina, but also in Brazil. And you can see Zamperlini and Scully, of course, clearly names of Italian origin, but they are not in first place. It's Gaston Coulavi leading the way after practice with Resengi, Zamperlini and Scully third and fourth, and then Ash, Villarreal and Park 5th, 6th, and 7th. And now for qualifying.
Qualifying is where the money can be made if you do it right. Of course, Park didn't put in a practice time, so I don't know what to expect from Park as we watch the rest of the drivers go through practice. Not always representative. I'm sure there's more time to find as we go through. 10-minute quali. Somebody already getting a little bit loose out of 2 there. I didn't see who that was, but it looks like that might have been the 327 there, the fabulous Fabio. What is that, Fabio? Yes, that was the fabulous Fabio.
Yes.
Okay, I thought I'd memorized my driver numbers by now. Good commentator. Doing the job here. Jackson Resende going through. Gaston Coulavi currently purple on the first half of the track. And there is your ratings. For the drivers, you can see a big variance for drivers. Coulavi Park down with the red license, Resende with the green, and 3 drivers with the blue ratings. So, and if you don't know what that means, basically iRacing has a system where they track your I rating, they track your license class, and that determines what you're allowed to sign up for, how much experience you have in iRacing, and what goes through. And Jackson Resende has some experience eating the wall there through the tri-oval. And that is part of the difficulty of Charlotte, is it's not just going through 1 and 2, 3, and 4 set tri-oval. The tri-oval is a very unique process here on this track, which can be very, very difficult. The exit of 4 going into the tri-oval. I've personally spun on it many a time, and I'm sure we're going to see a few drivers be taken out all the way through as we watch. But as we continue to just kind of follow through on this qualifying session, these 7 drivers are going to move through very, very quick. Resende has a time in, he's 3.3 seconds off though, which is surprising to say the least for Jackson Resende. Fabio Zamperlini a 1/10 of a second off of Scully. You can see more smoke going down the tri-oval here, and as we watch, it's going to be a matter of just who is going to be able to push and stay the closest to each other. Look at that, 3 milliseconds Coulavi off of Zamperlini, 5 milliseconds Park is off of Coulavi, and then 2/10 back is Ash. Scully currently leading with a 31.227. Diego Villarreal, you know what? Give it to you. Give it to you for consistency. That's all I can say.
And our guys in the back, of course, quickly to point out that this is the first ever race for Bradley Hash in AMX. I have to say, you know, our unsung heroes behind the scenes working incredibly hard. I mean, not really, sometimes you see them pop up in the fun corner, you know, the Corentin Guinness Fan Club, I think it was a few weeks ago during a race at Zandvoort. But yeah, working incredibly hard to show you the graphics, to show you the overlays, the of course the webcams, the live cameras of the drivers, and the field is incredibly compacted. And especially surprised, you know, but maybe that is the correct word. But Flavian Park, of course, that red banner there, rookie driver in iRacing. In the oval side of things, of course, and still they are absolutely holding their head high in this first part of qualifying. It's Argentina, Brazil, Korea, Brazil, USA, and of course Uruguay with the Villarreal sitting as per usual in the... I'm sure that Diego Villarreal knows all the hospitalities of these racetracks like the back of his hand, like he is always relaxing there during the qualifying sessions.
Yeah, Diego Villarreal, got to give it to him for no nerves. He comes in here, he's content, he's calm, he's cool, he's collected, whatever other words I can think of that start with a C, the chillaxed, there we go. And he's ready to go every time the grid jumps up. He knows he's going to be starting at the back, but he commits to it. And usually it works out for him. Like I said, he usually does very well, doesn't get caught up in any incidents. And you and me both, Marco, have ran plenty of oval races in lower tier classes, rookie classes. Heck, I've seen it in A classes. I've seen it in the Pro Series. You get to turn one and it's chaos. You're running ovals and you're running the old school trucks at Charlotte. As long as all of the drivers make it out of the exit of two comfortable and okay, I think this will be a very tight competitive race. Of course, it's going to be 40 laps of action here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Bradley and Camp coming in
there they
for
are.
The newcomers here. Oh, I love our production.
I have to say,
thank you all so much.
They are very easy to sway, you know, between one driver and the other. You know, they switch allegiance very quickly behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh, our production team is amazing, but hey, it's best to... Sometimes your best bet is on the new guy. So, he asked me, because I was talking to him about the league, and he asked me, he said, so there's a chance I can win this thing tonight, right? And I said, oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely you can win this thing tonight. Just survive 40 laps. Can't be too bad for you. And who was that going off there? Gaston Kulhalvi taking an alternate line through the tri-oval. Don't know if he's supposed to do that, but he did do that. So, it works though. Kulhalvi's off. Scully, 31.227, currently our provisional pole time. 3 milliseconds behind him is the Fabio Zamperlini. We're 3.5 minutes left to go here in this qualifying session. And all of the field is separated by, if I can do quick math, less than 0.4 of a second. And there's Park fans. They're right back at it. They just switch it, I think, based on the livery. Whatever livery they see that they love is, I think, what they run for. And, of course, you've got Park running just a very classic livery there, looking very good.
You see, with Park, I understand more, being, of course, the local guy to our fantastic crew in Korea. The lap times in qualifying with these trucks, of course, it is... the operating window of these trucks during qualifying is a couple of laps, as you can see in the officials. Of course, you do a couple of laps, then your tires, it's peak performance, and then you start slowing down. Of course, we are in open qualifying tonight, which means you have an unlimited number of attempts in the 10 minutes you see on the clock on the top left. Therefore, the best bet would be to do the outlap, 2 laps. And in some places it's quicker the first lap than the second. Maybe here is one of them, I don't remember. Because of course these are the old school tracks which I haven't raced in a while around here. Go back to the pits, go out, get out and start again, basically. You see Zamperlini was in a decent lap, but he clips the barrier coming out of turn 2, so he will not improve. Here it comes Park. He's only 1/10 of a second back from pole position, coming out of turn 2 and getting as close as possible to those barriers there. And now, of course, going for the apex down in turn 3 and 4, coming out. No, there is now a small bump coming out of 4. They have smoothed it out a bit in the new rescan of the track when they put the roll in, but still, the amount of times I've hit that bump coming out of 4 and smashed into the outside wall coming out of 4, I've lost count.
My first lap ever at Charlotte Speedway, as we ride on board here with Park, is he's coming through those specific corners we're talking about here. He's coming through 3, exit of 4. You can see right where that bump hits. And my first lap ever, flying lap on Charlotte Speedway, signed up for my first ever official series. Hit turn 4, bumped that, smashed into the wall, and couldn't figure out how to reset my truck. And so I ended up just sitting there for a minute. And then somebody exited, hit a bump, and slammed into the side of me. Turned out it was the leader. Fabio Zamperlini's back with us, though. And speaking of leaders, Fabio Zamperlini, he's got somebody spinning right in front of him. He has to eat the wall. You can see the look on his face. He's not super happy with that because he was on a good lap there. He's just going to pull over, relax. You see him looking around like, man, what was that? And who was that? That was Jackson Resende that was in front of him. That's front. You see Ash coming around out now, and as he dives into turn 1, still trying to carry speed through that tri-oval. We talk about how dangerous it is, and the drivers just have to go and prove that point. I don't know if it's commentator curse or commentator knowledge. I will let the viewers decide for that.
Only 10 seconds left on our clock, which means that basically the drivers will get a checkered flag in a second and they will not have another attempt at a fast lap. Checkered flag waves right about now. Here comes no, Park is on an outlap, so he will not be able to improve. There's a little bit of a wiggle. Of course, for those that are new to iRacing, remember that you can't use the wall as support during your qualifying laps. Even just a brush with the wall will warrant an invalidated lap, so you need to be squeaky clean around this place. And I'm not noticing anyone improving, so unless we get a major surprise, which I don't think is going to happen, this will be your starting order for the second and final race of the evening. As I was saying during the race earlier, in Phoenix there will be no cautions, so tire management is paramount around here.
Yep, and that is one of the things that you learn very early on in your iRacing oval careers, as you learn how to tire manage for those 30, 40, 50 laps where you're not allowed to pit. Well, you're allowed to pit, but pit stops aren't mandatory. So it's something we're going to see how these drivers all do. Manuel Scoli coming in with pole position 31.188. Fabio Zamperlini just half a tenth back. Gas Uncle Javi 8/100ths of a second back. Park is a tenth of a second off there. Jackson Resende 3/10ths of a second back. Ash 4/10ths of a second back. And Diego Villarreal, consistency. I love him. No time placed. So he will be starting us from P7, starting out row 4 of the grid. And it is, of course, a rolling start. Charlotte does the traditional lineup here on the side. You line up, you look pretty, you present to the fans. They'll pull out single file, file themselves through, double file, and it will be pace lap around and then 40 laps of action, which at about 30 seconds a lap, 40 laps should go in about 20 minutes. If I did my math right, of course.
I am not going to challenge you on that because my maths are quite terrible. I'm already dreading the fact that, again, as I was saying, in around 20 hours time, we'll have the final race of the playoffs in Italian Nascar Championship, and of course we have 8 drivers vying for the 4 spots of the final 4. And yeah, I hope that we have somebody behind the scenes doing the calculation for me, because it's not ideal. Anyway, you can tell it's one of the newer scans in iRacing, because just like at Michigan, for example, we start with this beautiful formation, as you were saying, showing yourself off to the crowd. Always a bit of a dramatic moment if you don't have a triple monitor or VR, because you, especially when you race with IndyCars, you really don't want to smash into somebody else. I always do 2 feet in reverse, and then I move my car to the left, in order to avoid dramas. But as per usual, we have more than 1 mile of racetrack length, 1.5. The cookie cutter, by definition. This track, and we have a car in the wall. It's Zamperlini, I think, went straight into the barrier already on the pace lap.
You can see Zamperlini's face there. He's got a little bit of a face going. He's not happy with that. He's kind of looking around. You can see he's not thrilled with what just happened to him there. Little bit of air there. Cold tires, just a little bit too much throttle. Kind of just giving it gas, giving it brake, warming up tires, just getting things ready. And we'll see how that cost him here on the race start. We are rolling. Pace car is in. And our flag man is going to drop the green flag, and we're going to be underway for 40 laps here in Charlotte Motor Speedway. And as we get away now, look at the front here, and that is Scully going through. Kohalvi, Zamperlini already dropping down to the 3rd place. Let's go around the outside there. Kohalvi is going to just sneak it up the inside slot in. Resende and Park battling. Ash back to that, battling with Diego Villarreal. Villarreal is going to look up the inside there. Ash on the outside, and Diego Villarreal is going to move up 1 place early on. As we continue to watch through here, Zamperlini and Resende battling. So it's 2 by 2 or it's 1 by 2 by 2 by 2 for our 7 cars as they come around. 1 lap moving very, very quickly here around this mile and a half. And now as they sit up, it is going to be going through. Zamperlini nursing that bit of right front damage. You can see he's running a little bit of a different line compared to Kohalvi there in front, holding on. And now it is going to be just a matter of them driving on through and around. And Marco, we survived the first 2 laps at least.
Absolutely, a bit of a scare there for Zamperlini. Of course, now the no cautions, rulebook we use here in AMX is already being problematic for Zamperlini. There will be no chance for him to get into the pits and grab some repairs. I mean, he could, but of course, green flag stops are. You lose 2-3 laps, around here. So he will. There is no option for him. He has to live with it until the end of the race and try to hold on. Now, the plus, of course, he was going relatively slow, so he shouldn't have too much of damage. He's still keeping a hold of the 2 leaders, but still, now he gets a fast lap. There is, of course, the draft being super important. Now, in Phoenix International Race, where we were there earlier with the Nextgen cars, it's not a flat-out track, so you are tendency to use the brakes, lifting, cornering, etc. naturally, of course, during the race. But so that makes managing the tires a tad easier, because around here, if you want, the first few laps of the stint, Brad, you can really push almost flat out. But you don't need to fall into this trap, of course, because the more you push at the beginning of the race, the earlier your tires will fall off, and the more trouble you will have come the end of the race. So you really need to restrain yourself in the beginning portion of this race.
I don't know if you've ever tried to tell a racing driver to restrain themselves. That's not something that most of them have the ability to do. It's easier said than done, that's for sure. And as we watch here, Zamperlini, even with that right front damage, is pushing right now on Gaston Kohalvi and absolutely trying to get that entry back that he started in. You can see him, he's just wheeling the car through and absolutely trying to push it, drifting a little bit high there in 1 and 2. And now as he sets up, he is, just trying whatever he can to try to get a move through and hold on. And now Jackson Resende and Park are getting in the mix as well. This is where the draft is going to prove very, very essential for these drivers. How can they draft together to try to keep in the pack mentality? Villarreal and Ash, 3.7 seconds back from this pack of 5 cars at the moment. They're kind of having their own little scrap there, and Ash is hanging out, but this front 5 is really where the battle is. And you can see right here the power of the draft. Resende and Park faster than Zamperlini, Kohalvi, and our race leader Scully. Kohalvi was faster than Scully. Zamperlini was faster than Kohalvi. So everyone gaining a little bit of time as we go through lap by lap. And it's just going to cause this little slinky effect back and forth. They're going to catch each other. They're going to spread out a little bit, catch each other again. Zamperlini getting a little loose there. That's going to give Resende an opportunity to slide up the inside of the tri-oval here. And Zamperlini is going to have to cede that position. I don't think he can hold on to it going into 1 and 2 here. And now that is going to mean Park is going to need to slot his way in and try to follow Jackson Resende through there. Zamperlini absolutely compromised on the exit of 2 again from that pass from Resende. And is that going to set him up for even more trouble as we continue? The front 5 separated by less than a second.
battle that we saw all the way around the previous race at Phoenix. Now, of course, having this brave attempt from Park, first poking his nose on the inside, then on the outside of the 327, but Zamperlini is holding strong on his position. So yeah, you're saying top 5 is incredibly close, and I think, yes, Kulabi has closed the gap massively in the last couple of laps, and is now basically knocking on the rear bumper of his fellow countryman Scully.
Watching them battle here as they go through, the tri-oval always makes me nervous because you can get a great run through the tri-oval down into one and then absolutely lose every bit of pace that you had going into one here. And as we watch these 5 just creep up, Ash did finally get past Villarreal and is now back up into P6. He's slowly closing that gap of 4.6 seconds. We'll see if he's able to do anything there. Of course, with no yellow flags, cautions here, it may be hard for him to do, but not possible, of course. And as we watch through, Mojave, Resende, Scully, Zamperlini, and Park, this is classic NASCAR pack racing. If you've never ran rookie trucks in iRacing, pack racing is what you learn, it's what you know, the draft is what you learn, and all of these drivers are showing a lot of skill, a lot of control right now, holding on to it, keeping things together, because even just blinking can cost you a race. Here we go, Zamperlini up the inside here of Resende. He's going to try to get this move done into 3 and then go through 4. Resende holding very, very strong on the outside. Zamperlini doesn't have enough to get it done. Resende is going to slot right back into the line. Zamperlini leaning forward there, just a little bit of frustration you can see because Zamperlini wanted to make that move stick to get himself back into P3 but wasn't able to. And now as we run around turns 1 and 2 again, we're already on lap 12 and 40, everyone, so just hang on for a bit longer with me because I don't know how this race is going to finish. A little bit of weaving on the back straight here, and that is the break that trap. And now we dive into turns 3 and 4 again. And Marco, what can Zamperlini do at this point to try to force his way past Resende?
It's a very good question because not only you need to get a good run to complete the pass, but with the pack so tightly matched, you need to be very, very careful looking behind you because Park is lurking there in 5th place. So really you don't need to make a move that instead of gaining you 1 place will cost you 1. In the meantime, I'm very interested to see what Kulabi will do, his plan of attack on Scully, because for the last 3 or 4 laps he has been absolutely glued to the back of his fellow countryman in 1st place. And I think that sooner rather than later, Gaston could and should, in my opinion, go for a move. Now, of course, the big question mark is if you make the move, which is a big if, of course, can you complete the passes? We see that Hesenji went into the wall coming out of 2, and this is the moment that Zamperlini was waiting for. Completes the pass, almost gets run into by his fellow countryman, keeps the position, and now both Brazilians have front right damage.
Look at the forearms of Zamperlini there as he's holding on and trying to keep that car together, but now they've lost touch with Scully and Kohalvi, and they're going to have to try to close things back up. Jackson Resende is going to close things back up because he is going to want another piece of the pie. And then look at this, though. Look at P6 and P7 here. Ash Villarreal. Ash closed it down to 3.3 seconds. While these front 5 are battling, they're all losing time to those back 2. So we might have a 7-car battle here from lap 15 to 40, and things are continuing to get a little bit closer here. We're starting to see things heat up just a little bit more. And now 2.9 seconds of gap there for Ash. And watch as things close up as all of these drivers continue to get closer and closer. Look at that, half a second, the difference between Park and Ash on that last lap. 33.02 and 32.5. I mean, absolutely flying through, and I don't know if he's just conserved his tires, if these front 5 are battling a little too much and losing time, or what it is. But, Marco, I think if you hold your breath for about 5 more laps, we're going to have a 7-car battle come up here on Charlotte, and you want to see some true pack racing, we're going to get some true pack racing.
I always tell my friends, go back to the debate we were having in the beginning, my friends, Italian, European friends that want to get into NASCAR, if they want to learn tire management, they should race in the Arkham and R series or on iRacing. Races are like 40-50 laps, just like this, no cautions. You have to absolutely manage your tires, and sometimes in the first half of the race you see people passing you left and right, you get discouraged, and in the second half of the race, just for maintaining your speed and be gentle on your tires, you start passing people just like it's in a video game, no pun intended. Same could potentially happen here if a driver has kept his tires in good state. You will be amazed at how quickly some of these guys can come back and make overtakes. So we know with basically a little bit more than half of the race left, it's all to play for here. The only two drivers that I'm a bit skeptical about is Zamperlin and Hasenji, because they're both spotting damage on the front right. Of course, compromised aerodynamics will increase your fuel consumption, and of course will increase your tire wear as you're battling with the track to make it turn a bit more to compensate for the big hit that they both had on the front right corner. So we shall see how they're going to progress in the remainder of this race.
Park is carrying a lot of right front damage as well. I've been kind of keeping my eye on him because he's been losing a bunch of time. As we see Ash trying to go up the inside here of 3 through 4. Park nursing that right front damage, can't hold on to the position there for P5, and no, he corners him and sends him into the wall. Oh man!
They were getting closer and closer, coming out of 4. I was, holding on for dear life on my chair here, hoping that they were not getting as close as they were, and unfortunately they got too close. And in that case, the car that's in front gets sucked on the right rear in this case, and it's an automatic one-way ticket onto the safer barrier there on the front stretch. So unfortunately, we have our first casualty of the day. Ash is in the pits, of course, calling the tow truck, and that's all she wrote for him. Unfortunately, our first retirement of this incredibly competitive race. Too bad, because it looked to me like he was going to be one of the drivers to watch with the fresher tires in the second half of the race.
He was pushing it through the field there, but Park with a lot of right front damage there. I wonder if that had anything to play as they go through. But of course, you and me both are very familiar that whenever you're running in iRacing and you're running ovals, as well as you have the draft front to back, something that you don't deal with a lot is side drafting. And that's something kind of unique to ovals. And if it's something that you're not super familiar with, you can get sucked into the car beside you and not realize what's happening if you're not prepared to compensate for that. And unfortunately for Park, nursing all of that right front damage, you could see just how angled the front end of his car is. You can see Diego Villarreal in that Hot Wheels livery, kind of nursing back a bit there. I think Diego Villarreal would have had a front row seat to what Park just did to Ash there, and is going to be sitting back a little bit and trying to pick his move very, very carefully, go around. We are going to have a replay here brought to you by AMX, and as we check this out, just watch as they come through 3 here into 4. Ash settling very, very low on the track, and you can see as we go through, coming around, he's down on the line, and you can see it's just the 12 hooks in there. You could use the lines on the tri-oval to kind of hold things through. And like I said, Marco, it's a good friend of mine, maybe a little bit biased, but it seemed like he was holding his line to me, and maybe it was just a bit of that side draft, pulling the cars together, and they weren't expecting it.
Yeah, and of course, we are still, the beauty of all of this is that, of course, we are racing from all the corners of the world, and of course, there are limitations to the speed of light, unfortunately. So, connection has to go from the driver's computer to the server and back to the other drivers on their own systems. So, especially the faster you go, the more the margin of error increases when it comes to side-by-side contact. So sometimes, even though there is a bit of space between the tracks, the simulator thinks you are closer than you actually are. And this happens, unfortunately, especially on ovals, especially when 2 cars are running side by side. This is, of course, a problem that is going to be difficult to mitigate due to limitations in the technology we are using to this. Still making giant steps compared to how the situation was when I started sim racing more than 20 years ago, but still unfortunate things. Now, the positive for Ash, of course, is that he's back onto the racetrack. He got his fast repair and is a couple of laps down, so he will look to at least finish the race and honor the event. In the meantime, Villarreal has been trying to get past Park for the past couple of laps, but still missing the decisive move. And I think also Villarreal as well, his front right has seen better days.
Ooh, that made me very nervous coming through there. You can see Villarreal getting very, very loose. He's still not able to hold on to it. Park goes into the back. And Villarreal is going to be maybe our next casualty. He's holding on. He's sliding. He's drifting. He's holding on. Villarreal back onto the track. He takes a bit of rear end damage there from Park. Park just smashing the back end of that Chevy Silverado. But Diego Villarreal able to somehow save that car and keep that Hot Wheels truck going. I don't know what Villarreal ate for breakfast with that.
It was very weird because the moment he pulled down on the front stretch to make the overtake, his truck started swinging left and right wildly. I've never seen anything like it. And of course, once he completed the pass, he pulled in front of Park, but he was still losing speed at an alarming rate, and so the contact there was inevitable. I have no idea how he saved that after the contact.
I don't know how he saved it, but doggone, that was some good driving. So kudos to him for holding on here. Bohavi has been holding on to the rear bumper of Manuel Scully for a majority of this race now. And I'm really curious when this pass is going to go through between Scully and Bohavi. And as I sit here and I wonder that, we're going to get a replay here of this absolutely magnificent save. Park there holding on through the line, and then we see just loose together and then loose again. Bit of a rear end smack there into the back of that Chevy Silverado. And I mean, look at the damage that both of those trucks are carrying, though. It's one of those that I almost forget how just resilient these trucks are. They can absolutely take a beating and keep driving. As long as you can at least somewhat get the wheels pointing straight, you can keep your race truck on track. Ash up in P7 now. It looks like he is within a lap of everyone. From what I can tell, he might be Villarreal going into the pits, taking a fast repair there. Hart, it looks like may also be in a position there, depending on how things go through. Still could see a battle back in the back half of the field. The front half of the field here, let's check in with them. Zamperlini and Resende, that has opened up a bit. The gap, 1.5 seconds. I think Jackson Resende may have had a little bit of a moment and had to open up there. Zamperlini, 7.8 second back in the front two battling. And the front two, Daniel Scully, Gaston Bohavi, half a second separating them. 9 laps to go here, and it's going to be, at this point, survival of the fittest in Marco. I think the fittest at the moment from what we see is Manuel Scully, who is absolutely holding on to this P1.
He's, behaving very, very professionally there at the front, despite having Kulavi shadowing him for, as you were saying earlier, the vast majority of this race. He's being cool, calm, collected. The gap is slowly but surely increasing, now almost up to 1 second. If I'm not mistaken, coming out of the final of turn 2 in the previous lap, I think Kulavi had a very small brush with the barriers. As a matter of fact, he lapped 33.7, so 33.8 for Scully. So yes, dropping some tenths here and there is the #1 track. And yeah, the two Brazilians now at a safe distance from each other. But Scully, of course, it's always difficult to maybe only do one race, because I think that if you do both races in the day, you are more in in a condition, better prepared. You are in the zone already. You can see the damage on the front line. It's a bit smaller at the beginning of the. I think Zamperlini need an extra set of an extra collision with the barrier somewhere, because now the entirety of his right side is missing some paint, Brad. So I think that Zamperlini had some extra collision with the wall, not just the first one we saw under pacing. But now gap 1.5 at the front, so Scully looking good.
Scully looking very, very good. And to give you an idea of the difference between the damaged trucks and a fresh truck, Ash is running in the 32s, Scully is running in the mid 33s, Bohavi's in the high 33s, and Resende is in the 35s. So, Park 35.2 last lap, Ash 32.8 last lap. I mean, that is a significant difference here as we see Diego Villarreal here go around Park down the tri-oval, almost like he wasn't even there. And absolutely hold on to it there. Now, of course, there is still a lap difference between them, so he's got to do a whole nother lap around in order to be able to take advantage of anything. And you can see even Villarreal with a little bit of right front damage there. Look at how the hood's sticking up on that car. He's kind of holding on, but 4 laps to go here. Everybody, I think at this point, is just trying to survive. You can see the gaps have significantly opened up from how close we were with 5, 6 trucks within under a second of each other in the beginning, and now it's 10 seconds, one of the largest gaps that we have for the trucks on the lead lap. And it's just a matter of survival now, Marco, and just making it to the end of this race. Box in or bag up your points, and then survive, tell the tale for the next race day.
Exactly, only 4 laps left, 3.5 more precisely, because I think Scully is already halfway through this lap number 37, as we can see Ash going past the number 3. So of course, one thing we should consider, that drivers that go into the pits that get maybe the faster pair, they can get 4 fresh tires and basically get a brand new track and go out, and of course they can use these 2 or 3 laps that they have to get the fastest lap of the race. You know, if you are in a position where you are in the back of the field, you could attempt that. Of course, fastest lap is $5 now with in AMX tier 0, of course. And by the way, here comes Scully getting the not the white flag, but he will get it the next time. 33.8, 34.1. So he's been gaining steadily over Kulavi. I think, as you were saying, it says, you know, was fun for Kulavi, but I think he's happy. And you can see we also have the beautiful overlay with the car and the truck liveries in this case. I know the guys have worked very hard in the back to get this displaying for your pleasure, and so finally we have it on the screen for you. White flag in the air.
White flag in the air, as we said, from the iRacing flag man. Which, pop quiz for you, Marco, what's his name?
Oh boy, I always say his name. I'll get back to you in a second.
That's fine. As we come around here, turn 3, turn 4, Zamperlini is just now through turn 1 and 2. Scully is going to be bringing it around turns 3 and 4 here through the tri-oval. He is going to be bringing it across, and if you haven't looked it up, you don't know it. It is Steve Barney, the flagman, waves the checkered flag for Scully. Scully brings it across, leads from first lap to the last lap. Valhalvi P2, Ash will bring it across for P7, but will not bring the fastest lap, 5 for 5 there. Zamperlini comes across for P3, Jackson Resende P4, Park 5th, and Diego Villarreal will bring it across for P6 here. And actually, I'm not going to call it for Resende and Park yet, because it doesn't look like they've came across the line. As we go through here, there goes Park, and okay, now we can call it. As Kohalvi does donuts, Scully celebrates the win. Barney is thankful that that race is over, and that was a lot of action.
It was, absolutely, and congratulations to Scully, because that was not easy to do, as we were saying. As Zamperini gets the fastest lap, he got it in the 3rd or 4th lap when everybody was in the draft, despite the damage, so congratulations to him. Scully had pressure for the entirety of the race, and you can see celebrations for almost everyone in the field. A nice day of racing here at Charlotte and at Phoenix in the race prior. We're just waiting for the racing system to give us the official results, so that we can display them for you on our beautiful graphics.
I think we're just going to be waiting here. Zamperlini running laps. I think he's thankful this is over at this point. He's giving us a little bit of a show. Watch him there as he wheels it through the pit lane. Holds on to it. Holds on to it. Does he hold on to it? And finally finds the wall. And I think Zamperlini might go ahead and call it at this point. And there we go. Zamperlini calls it. But that's 40 laps at Charlotte. And Manuel Scully brings in the win by 3.5 seconds. These timing boards do not tell the story of this race, though. Gaston Kohlhavi, the number 1, finds himself in P2 this evening. Fabio Zamperlini, P3. Jackson Resende, P4. Swinging Park, P5. Diego Villarreal, after not qualifying, finds himself up in 1 place. And P6. And Bradley Ash, after that hit with Park there, going through the middle of the race, finds himself down in 7th place, down 2 laps. His first time here at AMX, and hey, he gave it a heck of a try through here on race 27. Marco, good weekend. And I think I'm excited for the next race as well. Where are we at next time?
We will be racing 2 classics, the MX5 at Tsukuba in the first race of the day, and then we will go to one of my favorite combinations of all time, the TCR cars at Brands Hatch. So there is nothing better than that, in my opinion. So it's going to be a fantastic day of racing. Of course, amxrace.com for all your informations. And we have a plethora of social media accounts which will be displayed below our beautiful faces in just a few seconds that you can follow and go and get the news. There they are.
Yeah. Come and join us on the Discord. Follow the Twitter. Check out the Twitch, Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Go to the website. That's where you sign up. TikTok is a lot of fun. If you don't have TikTok, then, well, it's 2023, so I don't personally know people that don't have TikTok. But anyways, on behalf of Marco, my name is Brad. Thank you, Automatics BenQ. We're powered by Upbit. And we will see everyone in 1 day's time. Oh, we're supposed to be off now. Okay.
attitude.